On this edition of PMEA's Take Note podcast, we are talking about advocacy, but from a little bit different perspective. On today's PMEA's Take Note podcast. Welcome to this edition of PMEA's Take Note podcast. I am Mark Despotakis, and today we are talking advocacy, but we're talking advocacy maybe from a little bit different frame than you're used to hearing from PMEA. When you hear from us, we say, hey, here's something going on. We have a call to action for you, or here's a toolkit for you. Well, we're kind of broadening today and talking about some things happening nationally that you can learn from and that you can get involved with. So we have two guests today, and I'm going to bring the first guest in today, my good friend, James Stevens. He is a Senior Director of Education and Advocacy at Music for All in Indianapolis, Indiana. James, thanks for being with us.
Absolutely, Mark. It is always good to connect. So
yeah,
especially good to connect when it's on advocacy.
Exactly, yes. And you know, you wear many hats at Music for All and do so many things there. And you know, if actually maybe what I should start with here is tell us a little bit about Music for All and maybe your role there for folks who might not do that before we kind of get into the advocacy piece that we're here to talk about.
Sure. Music for All's mission is to create, provide, and expand positively life-changing experiences through music. We have a vision really to be a catalyst to ensure that every child across America, regardless of scholastic environment, that they have access and opportunity to active music making in those scholastic environments. My role as a Senior Director of Education and Advocacy is everything we do at Music for All is really rooted in education, student leadership as well to an extent, but everything is educational programming. So my team is responsible for, in many respects, hiring clinicians, faculty, adjudicators, all those excellent folks. We have an educational advisory team. We have multiple advisory teams where we're really just engaged with folks across the country, elementary, middle, high, collegiate, professional, to try to service all those things. We have event programs. We're coming up on I think it's our 48th or 49th Music for All Summer Symposium that we host at Ball State University annually. A lot of people know us from our Marching Bands of America championships that will happen in the fall, our national festival and affiliate concert festivals. But advocacy is really kind of what drives me and my team to a certain extent to just kind of, protect the integrity of fine arts and programs. And one of the, I'll just share with you, Mark, one of the things that has been on the, priority for us lately is related to the music profession, teaching music and responding to the recruitment and retaining of excellent educators in our field and support mechanisms surrounding those endeavors. So I know that's I kind of unpacked a lot, love talking about it, but hopefully that gives a little bit of insight as to who we are and what we do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll invite people to go to musicforall.org and they can dive into that. And James, you were on the podcast here last year where we dived into a few of those things. So currently you're a member of the Two-Timer Club on the podcast. So I know you're a Saturday Night Live guru, so you know about that. We do have one 5-timer. And so we're going to get them the jacket with
the jacket. That's I love it. I love.
So you may be there at some point.
Here's hoping.
Yeah, for sure. So let's talk about the program that we are here to talk about today. It's called Advocacy in Action. I could probably explain it, but that's what you're here for, and you could do it a way better job than I could. So tell us about what this program is.
Absolutely. Though I would love to hear you talk about it because I love hearing others talk about it because it's fun to talk about. And it's also, to a certain extent, it's pretty simplistic, but for some it's so different and out there, maybe, that it's I just enjoy hearing others. So if you don't know about it, Advocacy in Action really is a signature program of Music for All. We have it sort of designed to collect, recognize, and share effective practices and initiatives that support music education in our schools, in our classrooms. We are celebrating these programs, hopefully inspiring others to really lead by example and take action, actually, in their own communities. We've designed it to be an awards program, so it's the Advocacy in Action Awards. Sometimes that awards name shows up there because we are backing into it like this. We want to recognize and celebrate the commitment teachers, parents, school administrators, community leaders, all who believe in music education, and share how they are advocating to ensure that it is part of a comprehensive education for all children, well-rounded programs. So we use the awards platform, hopefully, to inspire application. We know that humans are competitive creatures, that hopefully there's maybe a little bit of peer pressure or something where you see some of these models or the examples and you go, oh my gosh, we have something that is worthy of sharing. And again, we use those awards then on a national stage to really highlight those schools and communities that are doing great work, but also highlighting the most important thing is the benefits of a strong music program, and hopefully showcasing those ideas. And really, it's a resource. It's a resource. It's a tool that we've developed.
So yeah, I want to come back to the resource part of that in a second, but let's talk about where did this idea come from? So this is still kind of relatively new in the Music for All grand scheme of things.
It is new, and it's a great question on where it came from, because I don't know how many people know the genesis of it is kind of this. Music for All for years has been a member of the International Festival and Events Association. If you haven't heard of that, you should look it up. It's a fantastic association, a group of people. They have been giving for years what they refer to as the Pinnacle Awards. So imagine this: it's events, it's festivals across the world. The Kentucky Derby, Tournament of Roses, Indy 500, DC Cherry Blossom, whatever. And so these winning examples in their Pinnacle Awards, we event people, festival producing people, have learned best practices from them in the course of celebrating these awards and these achievements. And it's been cool for us over the years. It's been fun, Music for All, Bands of America, to receive some of these awards alongside of some of those, internationally acclaimed festivals. So we took that idea to basically, and I have to give credit to our previous President and CEO, Eric Martin, who was like, what if we do this same kind of idea for music education? So where advocacy is sometimes an interesting word, Mark, and you and I have talked about this, there are organizations that do an amazing job of, the stats, the statistics, the data, the fighting the good fight with legislators. You've been a part of that from, the NFME and, of course, the NAM Foundation and things like that. We are great partners with those organizations, but Music for All, using what we believe is our best skill set, is educators who in their core have maybe a connection to the organization, or that we have able to reach, to say, let's inspire the world by collecting these practical examples. So this is advocacy in action, or this is advocacy in its most practical form. So think about it like this, I guess. People might aspire to perform, to apply and perform at the Midwest Clinic, right? I think that educators that are there use that experience those performances, those sessions, to inform how they could maybe be a better teacher, or how they can take some of the things back home. I will say that as a educator myself for years, before wearing this hat, Bands of America, the marching band Grand Nationals, was a stage where I could look and go, this is how some people are really teaching the best of the best, and pick up on some of those concepts. We hope that similarly, advocacy in action would be an inspiration and a place to share those great examples, especially maybe when you need some help.
Yeah. So you divide this out into a bunch of categories, and we don't necessarily need to go into all of those right now. People can see that on the website. But part of what you do then is this is archived. So when you talk about the great examples, this just isn't, hey, we're going to announce them and then, that's it. You guys have taken this great next step and said, we're going to archive this and make this a usable thing. Talk to us about that part of it. That's the real takeaway for people.
Yeah, it's really the reason that we're doing it is the archive. It's a clearinghouse, essentially. So in order to have an archive, you have to have those assets to share. So we've used the dangled, as I mentioned, the competitive carrot, or whatever you want to call it, the awards program, to hopefully have those happen. So now if you go to the website, again, all of it is free. It's free to apply. It's free to we're a not-for-profit organization, 501c3. So if you go to advocacy musicforall.org, you can see the clearinghouse. You can see the archive. It is essentially, as you said, you can look at it through different lenses. There are different categories, which I'll just quickly share, that are all part of everything that a good music educator who is like the CEO of their program is doing. Student recruitment and retention, community involvement, marketing your program, parent booster support, the support of your decision makers, innovative fundraising. And our newest category, actually, because we have to remember our roots and where we start, and through the K-12 spectrum, elementary excellence is our newest category. But if you go in there, certainly you can see these programs that are being recognized and celebrated. And we have one of those amazing examples here, I think, with us today. Hopefully I'm not spoiling the surprise, but the coolest thing about it is if you go in and you see these ideas, you see the description of their initiative. You see what their goals were, or their rationale behind it, the budget, if there was one involved, the overall impact, that it maybe had for a community, any of the challenges and obstacles. They've talked about it through the lens of they're sharing this and giving advice to others that would be interested in replicating the project. And all of the supporting materials are priceless. Photographs, documents, all these things. I had somebody call me recently who said, James and Emily is Emily Timmons in the office is the biggest champion of advocacy in action. Hey guys, I just spent an hour and a half going through this. I was looking for fundraising ideas, and I walked away with a lot more than that. And thank you. And again, all we can say is thank you to those that have decided to lead by example with an application and their willingness to share.
Yeah. And, as you think about this, right, how many of us have gone to conferences and you talk to people and you might have this little conversation, hey, well, that's a great idea. Well, but then you have to move on because we're so busy at a conference, and maybe there's some follow-up, maybe there isn't. What you've done here is created this place where all of this information is, and yeah, the stuff is there. It's not like, here's the program. It's like, here's the program and here's the assets. Like, steal from what we did. It's great.
I will say this, because fundraising is nobody's favorite thing. I would imagine. I know it was never my forte necessarily, but if you go in there and just look at some fundraising things, you might first go, they're selling this weird thing or whatever it is. We're not interested in that. I would just encourage you to take the time to read it, because it's not necessarily about that thing. Because sometimes the fundraising is surrounding a community's, assets or whatever. They have their own festivals, but to look at how they did it, how they engage their students, the almost entrepreneurial side of making it successful in terms of raising funds. That's really what it's about. So just that was just, sorry, Mark, to take it one step further, to just, I think you can learn a lot from people who have been successful, and don't necessarily, I guess this is kind of like a don't judge the book by the cover, kind of dig in a little bit is what I would be encouraging folks to do.
Yeah. Excellent point, for sure. And I think, as you said, people have called in after they've been in there for some time looking at it. You could spend hours in there looking at these great programs, and I'm sure you will come out with many more ideas than you thought when you went in. So what we're going to do now is we're going to bring in somebody who has done this. So we're so excited to hear from her and about, she's going to share some of her ideas, I'm sure, that you'll be able to steal just from listening in. But I'm delighted to have Hayley Winslow here. So she teaches at Snow Canyon Middle School in Utah. Hayley, thanks for being with us.
So excited to be here. Thank you, Mark.
So start with, tell us about your school. Tell us about your school and your program where you teach.
I teach at a middle school. It's a little bit of a different situation. We have 3 different secondary schools. We have intermediate school, which is 6, 7, and then they come to me, 8, 9, and then they go on to the high school, which is 10 through 12. So when I get my students, I have students with already, some experience. It's either 1 year or 2 years of experience. And I take that and do everything I can with that. I teach band and I teach orchestra and I teach a little offset of guitar. I am at a Title I school. We serve the homeless population in our area. We also serve the Native American population in our area and a lot of people that are coming from Latin America. We also have an offset of rather wealthy students. So we've got a little bit of everything, and I love it. I absolutely love it because we have real problems and we have real solutions to those problems. I have students that don't speak any English, and I have students that are very well supported. And so within that population, I am given so many options within my own self to learn and to teach. My program right now, I've got between the 2 grade levels, I have about 100 students in band and about 60 students coming to me in orchestra. So that's what I'm working with. I have a really great collaborative team within my what we call cone site, because we have our elementary schools and our middle schools and our high schools, so we call it a cone. And I just love working with my team of orchestra and band teachers. And then we have our district teams that we work with. So our band team, our orchestra team. And that's really how our involvement in advocacy and action began, is because our teams are just so well developed and we wanted to share that really with the world. We really wanted to share that.
Yeah, so like many music educators, you're wearing many hats, not only in your the music education space, but just in your school space with all that's presented to you. So yes, as James was applauding, I agree. Kudos to you, because that's a lot. That is a lot to take on, and we know that so many music educators are doing that. So so before we go into talking about kind of what you did, tell us why you said, hey, we want to be involved in advocacy and action. What was the impetus to say we want to do this?
Well, I'm really lucky, I feel like, because I have been part of a volunteer in Bands of America, and I've gone to the symposium as an educator, and I've also been a volunteer at on the concert jazz side. I was a chaperone for the Jazz Band of America, my husband and I. My husband was a music educator as well. He's now on the dark side in administration. So
important work, though.
Yeah. But he's a great advocate for music educators within our district. He knows that side, which is fabulous, because now we have somebody in our district that can advocate for music educators. So that is really how I found out about Advocacy in Action, is because I volunteered so much with Music for All, and I got to know these fabulous people that are supportive of music educators. And so Advocacy in Action just seemed like this breath of fresh air. I had no idea. I'm in Utah, and our little part of the, well, I would say little, we're a big part of the country, right? But we don't have these programs at our fingertips. And being in a place, and really expanding my vision across the United States, helped me learn about this program. And I wanted to be as involved as I could be without being an employee,
Yeah. So then you've done a few submissions here, and you've got some recognition twice. So can you tell us a little bit about what these submissions are? Give the folks a sneak preview of why they should go to the website and really check this out.
Okay. So our first submission was, well, both of my submissions have been team-based. It's not just my school and what I have done. It is the first submission that I would say my team submitted was a recruitment program where we went to the elementary schools and we did petting zoos. If you don't know what that is where we bring the instruments to the elementary schools and let kids try them out. And we had a repair and business owner come, very active, motivating speech to these fifth graders. And then we had each fifth grade's class come back and try these instruments, every kid to make a sound. And we brought both band and orchestra instruments into it. And our numbers just skyrocketed. They went up. We saw them continue through the programs. They met every single one of their future band or orchestra directors. And so that really caught the attention of the kids. And that was a pilot program, and it spread throughout our district from that point on. And so we still have different versions as work through their own areas. We have different versions of that going throughout. And when I submitted that, we had no idea. We didn't know people were doing this across the nation. We had no idea if it was even unique. We just thought, hey, this might be something people would like. And then my second submission was for this past year, for 2024, and it's for our orchestra team. We do a non-competitive festival every year. We bring every sixth through ninth grade group. So this is our middle school programs, to a festival at a high school. No, if parents want to come, they can. There's no winner, there's no loser, there's no ratings, but we have every group perform for each other. And it's just a celebration of what we are and what we do. We have every kid meeting other kids from the area. We have 900 kids in an auditorium together. And then at the end of this program, we play the same song together from the audience. And it is emotional and it's beautiful. And the kids end up just loving, each other. And they feel. And I'm getting emotional even talking about it, because it's so collaborative, and our teachers are able to join together and we all play, and I'm a French horn trumpet player, and I'm playing on my violin horribly, but the kids and the teachers are doing this united, with no expectation of a rating or an award. And it helps us keep those kids through high school. And that's part of the goal. But the main goal is to get the kids to really present and perform and love each other for what they do.
Yeah.
So those that we put in.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. It's, again, we didn't know if other people were doing it, but putting that in as something that we do, and showing that rural, and we are rural. but we're in an area where we have a large district, but it's in a rural area. So a rural middle school program, it motivates for the nation, right? The people that are in rural areas that don't have these programs that are, awarded every 2 seconds, or they feel like they're not good enough to be awarded. They bring an award back to show their administrators it's not about that to the teacher or the students, but it is for the principal, it is for the programs. But then we know as teachers that's about the love of music and keeping programs and helping them love what they do.
You kind of answered a little bit of what I was going to ask you next. Is so once you actually receive the award, what is there some value and some galvanization maybe in the community behind it? Like what does receiving this award do for your program, maybe from a community perspective that sees that you won this award?
So what we do with that, we give it to our fine arts director in our district. Our latest one, we went with our fine arts director and it was presented in front of the school board. And as a orchestra team, all of us were able to say where we teach, what we do, how we do it, and it was applauded. And then we so for us, we got our award, but there's so many teachers in so many schools, so we duplicated that award in our community. So every teacher has the award in their school to be, just in an award wherever it's supposed to be, so the whole school can see it, and our administrators feel that sense of, like, this is my program. It's not just her program, it's my program, and our students are given that acclimated in assemblies. And that's what happened with my band. It's what's happened with my orchestra. They're able to stand and be recognized. They're able to be given that acclimate in front of the teachers. And the teachers are able to get the acclimate in front of the school board. And their administrators are like, dude, this is worth supporting. Yeah, you need something else? I will give you that money. I will help support the program. And all of that matters. Every bit of that matters, because our programs are now, I guess, in alignment with what they see in sports. I hate being that person and saying that out loud, but that's what is needed. We do have that line with our teams that are in the eyes of
one of the key points of advocacy always is know your audience, right? And so whatever speaks to your audience, so you figured it out, and if that's what works, that's what works, and that's awesome. And,
right.
And James, this must make you and the team feel so good because I'm sure you hear stories like this all of the time of, wow, we're excited to receive this, and here's how we're using it in the community.
Absolutely. I'm so glad that Hayley found us, or we found Hayley, whichever is the appropriate way. I don't know, because that's always so much of an interest for us to just, who applies, how did they feel compelled to do it. There are programs out there that we have never, engaged or interacted with for whatever reason. There's like 20,000 high school programs. I think somebody who counted them, I don't know. And, no one has reached all of them because it goes to voicemail. No, but, there are people who have found it in a way that is, to hear Hayley's story, it just reminds us that teachers, have the power, especially I believe music and art teachers have the power to change the world truly. And it is teachers, I'm talking to you when I say your students are the celebrities of your community. And to ask yourself, what are you most proud of? How can we celebrate your students? How can we celebrate your program? And this is the kind of thing where it's just great to hear Hayley talk about it, because we've created it to just, hopefully it's not another thing, people that are looking at applying to go, and we've tried to make it as simplistic as possible, and something that you can maybe a parent or even maybe a advanced student could start it and save the work within the system, and a teacher can go back. But I think it's important, and I just thank you, Hayley, for being a leader in advocacy, because you've actually put some action behind it by saying, I'm going to share what we're doing. And for that, I just say thank you. We have immense gratitude.
Well, I appreciate that, but I also just really appreciate what you do, because I see music education as a collaborative environment. I can't do it myself. I need my students and I need other music educators. So the award itself matters, right? Maybe the community more than the actual event. However, what you do and putting it online, and I would say teachers, go online and look at these, because you don't know maybe that you are doing what's already amazingly happening. You are on par with what's happening across the nation. You might feel alone, and you might feel like what you're doing is just inadequate, and then you may see something that is worthwhile, and you might feel like your program is all of a sudden raised to an award level, right? You might see that, but you also might see a world and a collaborative environment where you aren't alone anymore. You have this whole team across the nation that's there for you. And that's one, I think the biggest thing about Music for All and Advocacy in Action that has changed my own perspective. I'm not just a team of 3 or a team of 20 in my own district or a team of 1. I am now a team of an entire nation because of what has been put on. And that's so much. And I just hope that educators across the nation that are in those super rural areas where they are a team of 1, you are not alone anymore. I very severely, from the depths of my heart, hope that everyone across the nation gets on that website and can see and feel what I do. You are, and those of you that are in rural communities that are not that high school band that is getting all the recognition, or that marching band that is only seen in your state. You have a place. You belong. And that, to me, I think opens the gates for every single music educator in the nation. So thank you.
Hayley, that I can't thank you. And I mean, you're that just remarkable testimonial is so gracious. I mean, I think, from where I sit, you're right about the profession is very open to sharing. I think we all, I have found that, and honestly, everything I've done as an educator that has been good, I know I borrowed or stole from someone else, right?
And I think we lost Hayley there. We lost her video, I think, for sure. But to your point there, I was at a conference many years ago, and I was at some marching band session, and the presenter said, there's nothing new that we can do in this activity, and I think he said, except to go up. But drones are not allowed in Bands of America, so that's out. But although there was one used many years ago, which is the reason why it is now not allowed. But his point was, we've all tried things, we've all had success with things, and we've all failed with things, right? Like, so, but we're all learning from each other in this process. And what you all have done
Exactly.
is created that space. And Hayley's back, and I'll pull her in just for some final thoughts here. You know, you've created that space to say, here's where you can go and actually look at the mechanics of it. Which is so important. And yes, and I agree. Hayley's testimony before was just like, that's what this is about. That's what music education is about. You know, that's what Music for All is about, and the Advocacy and Action Program is about. So I'll ask each of you, you know, any final thoughts on, you know, what's the elevator pitch? You know, like what would you say if you're just casually talking to someone in that elevator ride of why they should participate in Advocacy and Action, or just check the website out?
Hayley, you want to take it or go first?
We might have lost her again.
Yeah. Well, I'll go, Mark, if that's
yeah.
I would just simply say, take action by being a leader, share with others in the profession what you are most proud of, and what might be unique or effective examples that you think might inspire others. You know, I mentioned the fundraising example. You know, same might be said. You know, Hayley's talking about her instrument petting zoo. You know, you might go, well, we do an instrument petting zoo. That doesn't necessarily mean you do it the same way that Hayley and her team does, or the way that you do it. She might be able to learn something from you, and vice versa. So the application, we try to keep it simple. I will say this, Mark, to the person who might ask, why should I participate, or what does it take? We have received over the years, people that have applied that have said that it is not overly cumbersome, and it was relatively simple. But here's the main thing: is it was helpful in its reflective qualities to put the application together, because, you know, you're asking yourself to describe, was it successful? What did we learn in the process? And it helps one to sort of rationalize the why and the how sort of simultaneously in a very sort of therapeutic way. So it's funny. I never really expected to get those kinds of messages of gratitude for the application itself, but that was one of the things that has benefited some programs. And I'll just say, relative to Hayley's examples, you get a press kit as a person who's receiving these acknowledgments, these awards. There's a suite of graphics, there's press releases and form letters. It's kind of like bragging rights that help you in your district, your community, to put your program front and center surrounding the receiving of a national award or a national recognition. So
yeah. And Hayley's there. So can you hear us now?
Yeah, sorry. I had my administrator husband called me, you know, and just screwed everything up. So
it happens.
So Hayley, just curious, you know, for final thoughts, what's the elevator speech for someone who you just meet and say, why should they participate in this or check out the website?
You become part of a community that you didn't know you had. You have recognition in your community, your own personal community, and you are celebrating every bit of what your students are doing. And it's coming from not just you. They are hearing it from a community standpoint and a national standpoint. And that may never happen again for your kids. And they need to hear that. They need to hear that they are recognized and what they're doing is really important. I can tell you it changed the life of one of my students. He came into my program and his first words to me were, I hate band. I don't want to do it. My parents are making me do it through ninth grade, and then I'm out. Well, he just finished ninth grade, and he said to me, "Do you think I can minor in music?"
Hmm.
And I was like, "Absolutely." He learned to play saxophone this year. He's a clarinet player. He wants to learn to play trumpet. He's all in. And it's because of the experiences that he had and the recognition he got. And I mean, he's one of many stories, but he felt important. He felt recognized, and he took that to the next level. And that wasn't me. That wasn't me. He realized it was his band and himself.
Yeah.
So do it.
Yes. So, and we know there are thousands of stories out there like that, and I'm sure you've experienced so many in your career. So I will tell folks, visit advocacy.musicforall.org, check out the clearinghouse, spend a couple hours there, because believe me, you're going to get a lot out of it, and you can find information there on how to get yourself involved. If you have a great program, get yourself involved in the next round of that.
Applications are now open, and
so they're open. So go check it out, and as James said, look at that application. It that could help you so much just by doing kind of the audit of your program.
I think through August 12th is they're open through August 12th.
So it's a good summer project for music teachers who are bored, which we know are never bored. So, James and Hayley, thank you so much for taking some time to talk with us. James, best of luck as you head into the summer camp time. Hayley, I hope you get some resting time as the summer comes before school starts in the fall.
Thank you.
Yeah. And we want to thank all of you for joining us on this edition of PMEA's Take Note podcast. We want to thank our sponsor, the Grove City College Department of Music. We will see you next time.